Brad Wolf. Secretary, we're just going through the situation in Portland. I want to get to the other major cities of our country and the violence happening there. But why can't, before we finish on Portland, why can't you just arrest the leadership in Portland because of their, ignoring what's really happening on the ground?
Well, we absolutely are doing that. So we're working with the FBI there in Portland, with the U.S. Attorney's Office there in Portland, to address the leaders that are organizing this and then going after them. We're also making arrests every night. We made more than 7 or 8 arrests last night, and we'll continue to do that. We're continuing to hold these criminals accountable. If the city won't, the federal government will hold these folks accountable. And I think it's interesting. I've often been asked by a number of city officials, as well as, again, senators, to say just have DHS officers stay on federal property. If you stay on federal property, all will be fine. We did that Friday night, Maria, and over 7 officers were injured on federal property. So this has nothing to do with you stay on federal property and then we will peacefully protest. That is not the case. We know what their aim is. Their aim is to destroy that courthouse and injure law enforcement officers. We have them on video as saying that. We know what their goal is, and we're going to continue to protect and do our job.
How are your officers doing, your agents doing, who have lost eyesight because of the laser shown at their eyes?
Well, I appreciate you mentioning that. We have 2 to 3 different officers. We are waiting on final results to see how much of their eyesight will permanently be lost because of the activity of these criminals. As you indicated, they are shining lasers, high powerful lasers into officers' eyes as they emerge from the courthouse. So we're taking steps. We've taken steps to address that, and we'll continue to protect our officers at all costs. And again, all I need is the city of Portland to step up and do their job. These individuals are on city streets. They're in city parks arming themselves every night, and the city simply does nothing about it. Absolutely nothing. It's irresponsible, and it's very dangerous.
And right now, there are plans for a protest right outside of your home. What are you doing? What can you tell us about this other protest, which is really trying to single-handedly attack you?
Well, what I can tell you, Maria, is our officers in Portland every night are targeted. Their personal information is on the internet, put out there by these criminals, by these anarchists. They're identified. Their families are harassed. They go where they're staying. The doxing is prolific, and we're trying to address that. And, of course, we see them trying to do that to myself. We'll continue to do our job. We're not going to be deterred by this. This is a tactic that they have used for over 3.5 years. We know what it is. We're prepared for it. At the end of the day, we're going to do our job. We're going to do our mission. The American people deserve that. And again, I go back to the most reasonable Americans understand what is at play in Portland, understand what the department is doing, what the president is doing, what the administration is doing. And that is, we are standing up for law and order. And anyone who says otherwise is not being accurate. And I will say that the other side that wants to criticize law enforcement, what they don't do, they do not condemn these acts of violence in Portland. I have talked with a number of Democratic members of Congress, and all but one, only one, have asked me about the health of my officers. All they want to do is condemn law enforcement for doing their job. And again, very irresponsible.
Bernie Sanders would also like to defund the Pentagon. The Democrats want to cut defense spending as well. And real quick, give us your sense of what's happening in other cities across the country. Shootings are up 50% in New York. Crime, murder and shootings are up in Chicago. What's happening in other cities, and how are you dealing with that? Tell us about Operation Legend.
Absolutely. So Operation Legend is a Department of Justice-led operation into a number of cities. It's been ongoing in Kansas City. It's also taking place in Chicago, Albuquerque, and a few others. And again, what we're doing is we're surging law enforcement assets into those cities to work on federal crimes that are being committed, whether it's gang violence or drug-related violence. And these are task forces that are occurring every day. And again, federal officers are doing that in conjunction with state and local law enforcement officers. So what we're doing is we're surging resources. The Department of Homeland Security, using our Homeland Security investigation agents, are supporting that effort. again, trying to address some of the violent criminal activity that is occurring out in these cities that has gotten completely out of control. But I want to emphasize we're doing that with state and local partnership as we've done for the past several decades. Nothing's going to change there. We're going to continue to have that partnership with them. But what we are trying to do is we're trying to put additional assets into those cities so that we can investigate more, we can wrap up those investigations quicker, and we can make more arrests.